25th, 2024, Hardin County Fiscal Court regular voting meeting. And let's begin and call this meeting to order. All right, let's have roll call.
Squire Clem.
Here.
Squire Hicks.
Here.
Squire Muse.
Here.
Squire Pennington.
Here.
Squire Saltzman.
Here.
Squire Thompson.
Here.
Squire Whitehead.
Here.
Squire Yates.
Here.
Judge Tall.
Here. Next, we'll have our invocation by Magistrate Yates and our Pledge of Allegiance by Magistrate Muse.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom as we gather for this fiscal court meeting. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our community and for the responsibility entrusted to us. Grant us clarity of mind and unity of spirit as we deliberate on the matters before us. Help us to approach each decision with fairness, integrity, and a deep sense of justice. May our discussions be marked by respect, cooperation, and a shared commitment to well-being of all of our citizens. We ask for your blessing on our community, that it may thrive and prosper under your care. Give us the insight to recognize the needs of those we serve and the courage to make decisions that promote the common good. We pray for all those who work alongside us for the dedication and hard work. Bless them and their families and keep them safe and healthy. In all that we do, may we bring honor and glory to your name. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Again, thanks everyone for joining today. Just a quick review of the agenda. We have typical approval of the previous court meeting minutes. We have several presentations today. We'll have a time for any citizens' concerns or comments. And then we have two ordinances and possibly a resolution that we'll be voting on today. And then the kind of typical consent agenda that I'll run through at the appropriate time. Then the comments at the end of that. Okay, so we'll move on then to, move on to approve the Hardin County Fiscal Court June 11th, 2024 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Squire Clem.
Yes.
Squire Hicks.
Yes.
Squire Muse.
Yes.
Squire Pennington.
Yes.
Squire Saltzman.
Yes.
Squire Thompson.
Yes.
Squire Whitehead.
Yes.
Squire Yates.
Yes.
Judge Tall.
Yes, motion passes. All right, next on the agenda, we'll move on into some department and office reports. We'll start out with Pat Elmore, our coroner. Oh, doesn't look like Pat. Much nicer.
Good afternoon, magistrates.
Good afternoon.
Judge
Good
Tall.
afternoon.
Today we're going to review April and May's cases that the coroner's office has handled. In April, we worked 93 cases. 8 of those were accidents. You see the different types of accidents that we did have. 3 of those were drug overdoses. And there was a new drug, unfortunately, that was positive in one of our cases, which you'll see at the very last one. It's bromazolium. Bromazolium, as you see, was first synthesized in 1976, but it was never marketed for anything. And now we're seeing it, unfortunately, on the street as a booster for fentanyl. And again, it's the fentanyls that are not your pharmaceutical fentanyl. It's the drug dealer-made, manufactured fentanyl. And then for the month of May, we worked 114 cases. 7 of those being accidents, and 3 of those were drug overdoses. You see some of them were methamphetamine, prescription medications, as well as the street drug fentanyls. The next slide show our year comparisons. Our autopsy numbers are down. Our cremations are down as well. We did have one county indigent case that was approved for a county cremation. And as you see, the next two EMS's transports are down, or they're still at 2, and then our numbers have gone up a little bit from the previous year. These are transports that we go from the scene back to our office. The next slide is going to show the year-to-date drug overdoses. So just keep in mind that 21, 22, and 23 are a total of 12 months, and then this year is only a total for the first few months of the year. Right now, we're for the month of May, we're at 18. I believe there are 4 more for the month of June that we will be adding on to that total number. Next slide are the community partners. The month of April, Tim Gibson, Deputy Coroner, was awarded his Advanced Coroner Certification. And myself, Pat Elmore, and Barry Brown were accepted into the International Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners. We would like to welcome Dr. Lee back as a part-time deputy coroner. And then the county was also granted the Energy Efficient Grant, where it will pay to have all of the HVAC systems and units revamped for our office and EMS, as well as covering the units for the freezer and the cooler at our office. And then the last slide just shows the residency of the cases we've worked. And as you see, E-Town is still one of the highest at 43%, as well as the out-of-county unincorporated are also a big number of the cases that we work as well. Any questions?
Just want to say congratulations on some of those achievements that you just went over.
Thank you.
That's impressive. So I'll put our coroner office up against anyone in the state. You guys are awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Unknown caller.
Well, there we go. All right, next is our sheriff, John Ward. Oh,
It's going around today, Judge.
it is, yeah. Much improved.
They get better all the time, man.
They do, don't they? I guess Pat and John are somewhere together, I'm not sure.
They're fishing somewhere, probably.
The sheriff does regret that he couldn't be here today and looks forward to seeing you at the next court meeting, or the next time we present. And probably the next court meeting too, but the next time we present, absolutely. We will, for the law enforcement, John's program, we will be talking about April and May. In April and May, we made 140 arrests, 284 citations, 120 warrants, 617 complaints, 65 accidents, and 50 criminal cases. We also had 700 school safety checks, 176 violation warnings, and 1,555 attempts to serve. And then inside operations, we had 69 records checks. There were 108 CCDW permits filed, and 1,575 vehicle inspections. And that attests to a lot of the work that the Hardin County Clerk office sees too, because those vehicles go straight over to the clerk's office and renew those. So, and that's just a small portion of what they see. In the transportation, we had 60 court transports for court adults, 15 for court juveniles, and 88 in-state transports. And that is John's report. Does anyone have any questions on that? Over our financials, you all do not have them, but I have a copy for anyone that wants them maybe later. I just kind of want to get caught up where we are to date. I know that I haven't been presenting those, but I want to get caught up, if I may take a few moments for those.
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. In January, we had 135,000 fees come in. We had 184,000 in February, 186 in March. In April, we had 218,000, and in May, we had $175,000 that were, and some of that was change, so put in the bank for our fees. And in January, our total expenditures, I'll get that out in a minute, was $282,656. Our expenditures in February was $532,759. In March, they were $594,590. And in April, it was $551,618. And in May, it was $663,255. And the difference being, in January, we only had half of a pay period because half of that pay period was pulled back for December because we're 2 weeks behind. So half of that money in January was pulled back for December, if that makes sense. So today, we are about $1.8 million in debt, and that's pretty normal because I look back at a year ago today, and we were $1.5 million in debt. So we're pretty much on target compared to a year ago today. So does anyone have any questions of that? And I do have handouts for anyone that would want them.
I'll take a copy.
And I so apologize for not getting this to BK earlier. It was definitely not her fault. It was totally mine. We just actually finished them up early this morning. We just had some numbers that wouldn't jive, so we had to get those in before we could. I felt comfortable in presenting them to you. So, and also, if I may put one other hat on while I'm standing here, and that is the Hardin County Fair Board member. I want to thank everyone up here for supporting the fair this year. As we all know, it starts July the 8th through the 13th, and I'm sure we're going to see all of you out there. And we do appreciate the support you have shown us, and anybody watching the sponsorship, we do appreciate that. So thank you very much. Any questions on anything I have reported up here?
You can, if you don't mind sending that report to BK, and we'll get it out. For
Yes,
those.
I will give it to BK if that's okay,
Okay,
and
yeah,
then
that's
she
fine.
can, okay. I'll give her enough for everyone up here, sir.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next in line is our clerk, Brian Smith.
Sorry, magistrates, you all have to, you get the clerk, you don't get,
Oh, well.
I could have sent Miranda, and that would have been an improvement too, but happy to present to you all tonight, a very brief report. Before I go into this, I want to take a point of personal privilege and just say a thank you to the Sheriff's Office and their staff. Terry, I appreciate you and your staff. The Sheriff's Office and the Clerk's Office intersect in a lot of ways, and we work closely together. But today they provided a little bit of assist to my office, and I want to appreciate that and acknowledge that. Preparing for the 2024 election, yes, we begin working for the general election, working on the general election before the May primary is even wrapped up. This is a picture of something we collaborated with our good friends at Nolan RECC. If you're a Nolan member or familiar with their organization, you know this is the time when they hand out their buckets and light bulbs. They also included in every single bucket information about voting locations, times, dates, and everything. In every one of those buckets, it's my hope that those folks will hold on to those cards, put them on the refrigerator, and participate in the election. So I appreciate that partnership. We're looking for other ways to continue to share information and increase our participation. And while we're on the subject of elections, in the audience today is Charles Buddy Doyle. Buddy is going to be joining the Board of Elections. His predecessor, Jerry Mike Phillips, served for many, many years, has resigned, and Buddy has received an appointment. So we're excited to be working with him. He was in my office for a while today. He's actually spent a lot of time in my office in the last year. He's served as a poll worker, and he's going to do a great job serving our community. So he represents the Republicans, and we know Becky Rawlings represents the Democrats, but we work collectively as a board, and we're looking forward to that. Next slide. My office has been the recipient of a couple of grants that I wanted to share some information to Fiscal Court about. The biggest one is a little over $307,000 in electronic land records. This is through House Bill 1, and that amount was approved by the Kentucky Department of Libraries and Archives. This is adding to our digital imagery, our preservation of documents. This does not and cannot be used for ongoing office expense, staff salaries, and whatnot. So this is going to extend our reach and what we have available. One of the things that I get a lot of compliments from people who are in the banking industry, the mortgage industry, the real estate industry, is how much information is available on our website. This will extend that. We'll also be doing some microfishing. And if you are my age, that sounds like it's outdated technology. I used microfiche when I was in college, but that is actually considered the premier way of preserving documents. Paper books can be destroyed by insects, flood, mold, fire, and anything else. If the entire civilization collapses, you have a light source and a magnifying source, you can read microfiche. And so we're living up to those standards, and those documents will be stored at KDLA, but we'll also be adding to our digital image library. The second grant, we get a small grant, up to $8,300. We're going to be purchasing security carts. They're just big, heavy rolling cages that we'll be using at some of our polling locations for our election equipment. You all know we use mostly schools for our election equipment. They usually provide us with a storage facility because we have to deliver that equipment 2 or 3 days beforehand. This will help in those areas where we don't have a good storage locker. We'll be able to lock it in this cage and literally run a bike lock through something to keep it secure. But this comes from the Help America Vote Act funds. Those are federal dollars that run through the State Board of Elections to purchase security cards. And we didn't get, why are we buying security cards? Because we've got two choices, security cards and voting and polling booths. And I got enough polling booths to supply probably 3 counties. So we think these will be helpful and useful for us. The next slide. Cavis. You all love hearing from me about Cavis. The public loves it. The clerks love talking about it. We are better than we were last month, and I think that's what I can keep saying each month. There are still a lot of bugs and known fixes that need to be done. The clerks have been meeting with the head of the Cavis team monthly to advocate for our constituents and find better solutions. There are still some very specific problems to Hardin County and some very specific constituent issues. Let me just tell you, the head of Cavis knows me on site and knows my name and knows the sound of my voice on the phone. I don't want to beat her up. She's doing I think a lot of heavy lifting, but they are they're scheduling out some of these fixes literally through the end of the year. And so we're looking at a much slower time frame towards full capability than I would have liked. This remains a challenge, especially in the larger counties and the counties with a lot of car dealers. I want to applaud my team for the extra effort they're putting into this. I want to applaud the public who have been patient with us, and we just ask for your continued patience, and we're going to work through this together. Next slide. Thank God, another one. Our Radcliffe branch is finally opening. Tuesday, July 9th is our opening date. It's the first date we'll be available to serve you. When I initially reported this, we thought we were going to be open Tuesdays and Thursdays for a variety of reasons. We're going to be open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So we're starting 3 days a week, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I don't have a planned ribbon cutting or celebration, although we'll work on that. What I will tell you to the folks in the northern part of the county that are going to be served by this is I can tell you the staff that is going to work there is excited to work in the northern part of the county. This is not seen as anything other than a celebration for them as well. 2 of them live in Radcliffe, so they're locals. You'll see me introducing them to other parts of the community, and we just need the public to show up and spread the word. And that's all I've got. Pending any questions from the members of Fiscal Court.
Just want to say congratulations on this office opening up in the northern part of the county in Radcliffe.
Thank
I know
you.
that was a lot of work to get it there. And,
It's been a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, but we're glad to be there. We're
Yeah.
thankful for our partners. We took a lot of collaboration, and we appreciate it.
yeah, it's great. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you very much for that report.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, so there are some other written reports available for everyone to see and to read. So we'll just move on down to our citizens' concerns and comments. Do we have anyone that wants to speak today? Yes, please. If you'll just state your name and where you live.
Hi, my name is Julie Cantwell, and I live in Rineyville.
All right, thank you.
So, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Fiscal Court, thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Of course, like I said, I'm Julie Cantwell. I live in Rineyville. I'm the president and co-founder of Kentucky Moms for Medical Cannabis. 7 years ago, I stood in this very spot before a few of you, overcome with emotion while trying to find the words to make you all understand my son's struggles with epilepsy. So excuse me if I break down and cry again today, because this is very personal to me, obviously. Today, I stand before you on behalf of all Hardin County patients, asking you to opt in to the upcoming medical cannabis program or let the voters decide in November through ballot initiative. First, it's crucial to acknowledge that unregulated cannabis sales are already happening in our community, posing significant public safety risks. Regulated dispensaries with oversight and law enforcement involvement ensure responsible sales and reduce access by unauthorized individuals. Secondly, we must remember that for many, medical cannabis is not just a choice, it's a necessity, providing essential relief from debilitating conditions. Local dispensaries would alleviate the burden of long journeys for medication, especially for patients with limited mobility and fixed incomes. We have a responsibility to ensure that our community members can obtain their medical treatments with ease and dignity. By implementing a regulated system for medical cannabis, we can also help battle the opioid crisis. Studies have shown that access to medical cannabis reduces opioid prescriptions and overdose deaths, offering a safer alternative for pain management. Beyond these points, there are additional compelling arguments for allowing medical cannabis dispensaries in our county. For one, local dispensaries will generate significant tax revenue, which can be reinvested into our community, enhancing public services and infrastructure. Additionally, these establishments will create jobs and stimulate the local economy. In conclusion, allowing medical cannabis dispensaries in our county is a decision that promotes public safety, supports patients in need, stimulates economic growth, and provides a humane and practical solution for those suffering from chronic conditions. I urge you to consider the benefits of this natural, God-given plant and opt into this program, or allow voters of our county to make that decision. Let's ensure that our community has safe, regulated access to medical cannabis and that we are not leaving our most vulnerable citizens behind. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? All right. Seeing none, oh, yes, please.
Hello, my name's Elijah Rosenbaum. I actually live in Jefferson County, but I have a lot of friends and family members in Hardin County. I wanted to ask you to opt in to medical cannabis or allow voters to decide. I think it's pretty simple. It's additional tax revenue. It's new jobs. I think that's something any county should want. I think it also is important to remember that this doesn't prevent medical cannabis from having its place in Hardin County. Medical patients are simply going to be making a longer drive and a more difficult drive to a neighboring county and spending those dollars there and then returning with their legally permissible medication. So it's important to remember that we're not preventing medical cannabis by opting out. You're actually just making it more difficult for medical patients who have already been approved. And again, I think if you are going to say no, rather than do that, allow voters to decide for themselves. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, anybody else? All right, we'll move on then. Okay, so we have a couple of ordinances that we are going to look at this evening. The first one is a second reading of ordinance number 269, series 2009, amendment number 3 of zoning ordinance. This was discussed at length at our last meeting, explained by Adam King. So I don't really have any other comment about that one. I just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Fred and Aaron. All right. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Muse?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
Yes.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Hall?
Yes. Motion passes. All right. We'll move on to our next ordinance. This is the first reading of ordinance 342, series 2024, prohibiting the operation of medical cannabis businesses in Hardin County. And so I want to take a little bit of time and explain why this ordinance is being looked at. For some of you that might not know at least a little bit of the history, most of us sitting up here have been through what seems like days of training, but I've been able to, I hope here, to summarize all that in just a few minutes for all of you. And so I guess just to say that the purpose, it seems, that for these Senate bills and laws and KRSs regarding this topic is to make medical cannabis available to Hardin Countyans and to everyone in the Commonwealth of Kentucky that need it. And so just a note that Senate Bill 47 kind of started this whole process, signed legalizing medical cannabis in Kentucky. That was back in March of 2023. And then we fast forward on into 2024. There's some other milestones, but I just want to summarize here that in March of 2024, regulations for medical cannabis were written for card holders. And then in April, regulations were filed for medical cannabis business licensing. And then as we move on into looking forward from here, not too distant forward, but July 1st will be the first day that applications can be submitted for businesses that want to sell and grow medical cannabis. And that application period will end August 31st of this year. There will be a time period of review of those applications, and then the plan is that in October 1st, then determine the eligible applicants, and then start to look at a lottery. A date for the lottery to be held I don't think has been set yet, but I believe it's going to be in October. And then after that, the license payments will be due within 15 days of invoicing for those fees. I'll talk just briefly about what the fees look like here in just a second. First, I just want to talk about that and get the point across that there's not going to be a multitude of businesses. The initial license availability There will, as far as the cultivators, the businesses and that will be growing medical marijuana, there are various different tiers. Those are dependent upon the size of the operation. All of the medical cannabis will be grown indoors. And so they have 4 tiers. The first tier, and I don't have the square footage, I'm sorry, I don't have that with me right now, but there will be allowed 10 of those in the state of Kentucky. There will be 4 Tier 2 cultivators and 2 Tier 3, up to those maximum amounts. Right now, there will not be any Tier 4 cultivators allowed. Processors, the ones that take the plant and then process it into something that can be ingested, will be 10 of those in the whole state. So we've got 16 cultivators total, up to 16, 10 processors. There will be also 48 total dispensaries, 48 in the whole state. There are 11 regions. The state's broken out into 11 regions, and each region will have up to 4 dispensaries. And then with the exception of Lexington and Louisville, that will have an additional 2. So that should add up if my math is right. There will be no limitation on any safety compliance testing facilities. As far as the licensing fees that I mentioned, Tier 1 cultivators will be at $12,000 for an initial license and $12,000 annual fee. Tier 2s at $25,000. Tier 3 at $50,000. If there were Tier 4, they'd be at $100,000. Processors are $25,000 initial fee and $15,000 annual renewal fee. Dispensaries will come up with $30,000 for the initial license fee, $15,000 annually. And as far as the safety compliance facilities, they're at $12,000. That's the state fees. Business regulations, as far as the lottery process, there's a step-through process, but the main thing to take from it is that the medical cannabis, the cabinets, that cabinet's office, they have decided to contract out Kentucky Lottery Corporation. The lottery people that know a lot about do this type of operation. So they'll be actually performing it, and then the cabinet will announce the results during a live broadcast. Decisions are being made. So this is in the case where there's maximum of, say, 4 dispensaries in our region of 11 counties. Say there's 50 different people that want to open those dispensaries, and there'll have to be a lottery to see which ones actually open. I've been told that Hardin County, because of our size and population, will probably have a dispensary. As far as any local government laws, we, as we're doing right now, we are looking at an ordinance to prohibit licensed cannabis businesses within our jurisdiction. Cities can do the same thing. Is in the process of opting in medical cannabis, so they have the option of having their own ordinance, and any of the cities, incorporated cities, can do that. If there is a prohibition on medical cannabis in our region, then there is an option for a public petition, and if successfully get enough people to sign that, then there would be a vote come out of that would decide one way. One other note that doesn't really affect this fiscal court, but just thought that might be of interest, that school boards will have to establish policies to permit or prohibit minor registered patients to consume medical cannabis at school. That's something that they're going to have to deal with in the near future. Local government regulations. One item here is that local governments may enact ordinances that are not less restrictive than the statutes or regulations from the state, and may not enact ordinances that impose undue burdens, make cannabis business operations unreasonable. Local governments may establish and assess reasonable local fees to compensate for any additional costs caused by the operation of cannabis businesses. Let's see. Finally, just a note here talking about if there is a need, people that have a petition, there's some rules around that, and in the KRS 218B, and a couple sections there that talk about that. So anyway, that's about, seemed like 100 and some slides reduced down to a few minutes. So hopefully that gives you an idea of kind of what's going on in the state, and some of the laws and rules around it. At this point, I would like just to read you what this, it's a short ordinance, so it won't take me long to read it. An ordinance prohibiting the operation of cannabis businesses in unincorporated Hardin County. Whereas Senate Bill 47 adopted the Kentucky General Assembly in 2023, legalized some forms of cannabis use for limited medical purposes. That would be effective January 1st, 2025. Whereas House Bill 829, adopted by the Kentucky General Assembly, amended provisions of Senate Bill 47, including allowing the process of cannabis business licensing by Kentucky Medical Cannabis Program to begin July 1st. Whereas KRS 218B, a couple of sections, authorize local governments to opt to prohibit cannabis business operations within their territory through the passage of an ordinance. And whereas Hardin County wishes to utilize the authority granted to it by the KRS 218B to prohibit cannabis business operations within the unincorporated boundaries of Hardin County, now therefore be ordained by Hardin County Court, Commonwealth of Kentucky, and there's a couple of definitions. All cannabis businesses as defined by KRS Chapter 218B are hereby prohibited from operating within the boundaries of unincorporated Hardin County until further action of Hardin Fiscal Court or the General Assembly. Okay, so that's basically what this says. I'm going to wrap up here with a few reasons of why we're headed down this path, just to make it clear, at least from my point of view, and there may be some magistrates that during the discussion that may want to add to these or subtract from them. So the reasons I have four. One is that I believe the biggest issue here is availability. And as far as I know, availability is not going to be an issue with at least one city in Hardin County opting in to provide this option. So that availability in Hardin County, as I see it, is not an option. I will say this about availability, though, that it is a bit of a concern that it could be compromised if the county opts in. So let me explain how that would work. A lottery could draw a dispensary that is located in the unincorporated part of the county if we were to opt in. And so that could be anywhere in unincorporated part of the county. It could be in Glendale, it could be in Upton, it could be anywhere. And there's only one, as far as we know, that will be in Hardin County. So if that is the one that is chosen through the lottery, and that person or that company wants to stay there as opposed to moving to a city, then to me, the availability is actually compromised and is not as accessible as it would be if it was located in one of our cities. So that would be a concern. I realize it's theoretical, and who knows what would come out of a lottery, but it is a possibility. The county could, number three, the county could opt in at any time in the future. Just want to make sure that that point is made. On the other hand, once the county opts in, there's no going back. Okay? We can't opt out after that. And number four, since availability will not be an issue, then what is the benefit for the county rushing into an untested, brand new state program? That is a question. What is the advantage? It's better to give, in my opinion, it's better to give the program some time to work out the kinks, and there will be kinks. So there are some unknown consequences that have just not been thought through yet. And as good as the people are that have come up with this program at Frankfurt, I believe that they are not invincible, and that they have come up with a process that they think will work really well, but it is untested. And so I would prefer that Hardin County opt out for now, see how things are going to go, and then as needed, we can come in later. One quick note, too, is that this timeline doesn't give us much time to develop and implement any zoning requirements for these types of businesses, so this process will be rushed. When you rush something, sometimes you will make some mistakes. So those are my biggest concerns. I'm not against medical cannabis. I believe there will be availability in Hardin County, so I believe that the best route for Hardin County government and for Hardin Countyans in the unincorporated part of the county is to opt out at this point. And those are my reasons why. Okay, at that, I will, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. At this time, we can have some discussion.
Thought we just did.
That was my discussion.
Yeah, but
Okay, so
as
now it's
as a voting member, I thought maybe you would hold discussion till you had a motion and a second. It
I
seemed
wanted
like-
to explain why we were
Why you
bringing this
wanted it to
amendment
be-
up
oh,
for
okay.
discussion.
Okay.
So I'm sorry if that was inappropriate in your mind, anyway. So anyway, we're open for discussion. Those of anybody that might be opposed to this want to discuss why you would vote any certain way. No?
Well, I'll make a comment. No one else is going to
Okay.
speak up right now.
Please.
I don't think that any of us going through this process of research, the seminars and the conferences and stuff we've attended, came away with any full understanding of the pros and the cons of cannabis and for the certain medical conditions that exist. I think we all did come away with the fact that there is a benefit to some. But at this point, as the judge alluded to, we're not quite certain as to how this program is going to be implemented, how well it's going to be controlled, how much expansion is going to be a part of the decisions made in Frankfurt. We right now have an opportunity as a court to reserve our options, have control of what goes forward in the future. And I don't understand the rush to go beyond that at this point when we know there's going to be access in the county and it's not going to be expanded at this point in time. There's going to be one, and we're going to have that. So why don't we reserve the ability to be able to monitor this program? There's one thing that I found when we went to the Lincoln Trail Ad, we had a seminar to go to there. And we talked to Mr. Flynn, who is the agency director. And we asked several questions, a lot of us did. The one thing I asked him, I said, will the legislature in the future have any control of this? He said, no. I said, who will have control of what the decisions are made to expand this beyond the 48? And he said, our agency will. So the legislature
they gave us 4 options, and one of those options was to maintain some control, and we have that ability to maintain it today with this vote. So we can either, as the judge said, we can either opt in, we can opt out, we can pass the baton to voters to make the decision for us, or we can do nothing at all. We can just let it happen on its own. But I think the responsible thing to do is to opt out at this point, monitor the program, maintain the control that we very rarely ever have the opportunity to do when the legislature gives us something. Usually they dictate to us and we get the unintended consequences and we have to deal with it. But we can actually control our destiny today. So, you know, I don't think it would behoove us to try to debate the pros and the cons of the issue other than what our decision today and what is the importance of our decision today. And I know we've all had discussions about this one-on-one and these conferences and stuff. We all know what our opinions are so far. But we still haven't voted yet. We still have a right to consider individually without pressure from any groups or pressure from political pressure or with this, and the facts. Just to make our decision on the facts and make a good policy decision. And that's what I'm asking each one of you to do today, to think about that before you cast your vote. And for me, I will be voting yes for this ordinance.
All right, thank you. Any other comment? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on to a roll call.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Muse?
No.
Squire Pennington?
No.
Squire Saltzman?
No.
Squire Thompson?
Yes.
Squire Whitehead?
No.
Squire Yates?
No.
Judge Tall?
Yes. Motion fails. Okay, so in case of this, then we have in our agenda a resolution 2024-134. And this was in here in case this ordinance did fail, which it has. So we're going to move on to what this is related to the operation of cannabis businesses in Hardin County. And I will take some time to read through this resolution so we know exactly what we're voting for or against. This is a resolution directing the question of prohibiting cannabis business operations in Hardin County. Whereas Senate Bill 47 passed in the General Assembly and House Bill 829 passed in 2024 session, amending KRS 218B 130 to allow local governments to determine whether to authorize the operation of cannabis businesses within its territory, whereas KRS 218B 130 authorizes a county government to choose from several options in its determination, whereas one of the statutory options for the county government is to enact a resolution directing that the question of prohibiting cannabis businesses from operating within the territory be submitted to the voters of its territory at the next regular election. Therefore, be it resolved that the question of prohibiting cannabis businesses from operating within the territory of Hardin County, Kentucky, be submitted to the voters of Hardin County, Kentucky at the next regular election as set out by KRS 218B.130. Okay, so that is what the resolution reads. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded, and is there any discussion?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
I was elected to be a voice for my constituents, and I take that responsibility very seriously. When necessary, I'm prepared to make tough decisions. However, recent legislation passed by our state legislators gives the fiscal court some options regarding medical cannabis sales and distributions. We can opt out, which we just tried to do. We can do nothing and it would automatically become law. We could opt in, or we could put it on the ballot for you, the citizens, to decide. It's not very often that this governing body has the opportunity to allow the citizens to directly decide on legislation through voting. I believe that whenever there's an option to allow the citizens to voice their opinion at the polls, that's what we should do. Some members of this court would like to suppress your right to vote on this matter. They feel they are better informed and can make a more educated decision than you. We live in one of the greatest counties, not only in Kentucky, but in the world. Our county is filled with heroes who have fought for our right to vote, with some paying the ultimate price. I'm asking this court not to suppress our citizens' right to vote on this matter. Let us honor the legacy of those who fought for our freedoms by allowing them to decide on the issue of medical cannabis sales and distribution. Their voice matters, and they deserve to have a say on this important decision.
All right, very good. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, Judge.
Ms. Patsy?
Thank you. Medical cannabis is a personal issue. Some need it, some want it, some don't. Medical decisions, ethical issues, life-changing events, these are all very real and personal issues. In talking with folks in the last year, I find there are individuals who need medical cannabis to control serious illnesses, pain. And then there's individuals that are fortunate. They don't have illnesses like that today. They may have it in the future, but not today. When elected, I promised to serve as a reliable voice for Hardin County. I want to use my power of voice to put this issue on the ballot for all voters to make the decision on whether or not they want to allow medical cannabis to be cultivated and dispensed in Hardin County. I'm giving you a voice so that you can decide what's best for you, your family, and your community. If this resolution passes through Fiscal Court today, I urge all voters to please take advantage of this opportunity. Use the next few months to learn all you can about the restrictions placed on medical cannabis. Ask questions, do your homework, do your research, make an educated vote on November 5th. Your opinion is important, so let your voice be heard. I'll be voting in favor of putting this on the ballot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any comment?
I guess we have a little difference of opinion about what our roles are on the court from some of the comments made. It's not about suppressing anyone's vote. We were elected for our constituents to come here and make decisions on their behalf. Most constituents don't have the opportunities that we have in learning about the issues and the policies that affect this county. We've spent hours and hours and hours and hours of time trying to develop the information that we need to make a good policy decision. I don't think you can expect our constituents to go to the polls and pick up a ballot that says yes or no and understand all the ramifications of the decision that we're trying to make here today. And that's why the issue really is not access. We've already defined that the access is there. And I agree with things you've said about the need. That's not the issue. The issue is for us simply to maintain the control that we've been given in order to let this thing play out to where we see that it's going to be a benefit to our county, and then we can always opt in. We have that option. So that's the issue here, not trying to suppress someone's vote. This is our responsibility to make policy decisions. We need to be wise enough, we need to be bold enough and courageous enough to make those decisions. And so I'm willing to make that decision today, as I've already stated. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comment before we vote? I mean, I'll just say that since we have decided not to opt out, or I guess the opposite, opt in at this point, and now we have this option to put it to vote, I would prefer to do that than just do nothing. So, so I'm a little conflicted, but I believe it's the better of the two to go ahead and put it to vote. So I'll be voting in the positive to do that. Again, restating that I'm not against medical cannabis. It's just anything else I say would probably just a duplication of what Magistrate Clem just said. Okay, at that, we will go ahead and vote. Have a roll call.
Squire Clem?
No.
Squire Hicks?
No.
Squire Muse?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
No.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Tall?
Yes, motion passes. All right, so let's move on then to the consent agenda. Just rolling down through here, the first three items, as usual, have to do with finance, our treasurer's financial report for May. We have the May payroll and registers, and then the June claims. And then we also have item K, which is approval of a resolution 136 related to some financial transfers. Next is a landfill item where we've got resolution 128 related to Tetra Tech work orders. This is in regard to Pearl Hollow, and this is some professional services that Tetra Tech provide for us. This is amendment number 8 to the agreement to extend their oversight and testing services another year through June 30th, 2025. The next four resolutions, 129, 130, 131, and 132, all related to personnel changes and job description change. The next one is regard to a cash drawer fund for finance occupational licenses. It's for $100 to start that cash drawer to make change for those paying for registration fees with cash. This cash drawer must be reconciled daily. Next item is resolution 135 related to the reappointment of John Tyndall to the Hardin County Water District Number 1 Board for another 4-year term that starts September 1st. And then the last four items are all minutes, committee meeting minutes from Public Works, Emergency Services, Resource and Community Support, and the Finance Committee. Okay, that covers the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Judge, I'd just like to commend you for reappointing John Tyndall to the Water Board. I think it was a good choice to keep him on there, to keep continuity since we're going to have some new guys coming on, right. And I think it was a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I didn't really know Mr. Tyndall very well, so I got to sit down with him, and the longer I talked to him, the more impressed I was with him.
Very smart man.
So very, very good man, and I think we do need on that water district board that continuity that he brings. Any other comments? Okay, so let's go ahead and have roll call.
Squire Clem?
Yes.
Squire Hicks?
Yes.
Squire Muse?
Yes.
Squire Pennington?
Yes.
Squire Saltzman?
Yes.
Squire Thompson?
Yes.
Squire Whitehead?
Yes.
Squire Yates?
Yes.
Judge Tall?
Yes, motion passes. All right, let's wrap up with some comments. Do we have any comments from our county attorney? Thank you. From our county clerk, in addition? All right, let's move on to Magistrate Yates.
I just want to again thank our county clerk, Brian Smith. The number one thing that I heard on the campaign trail in northern Hardin County was that they wanted the clerk's office back. They said it at the polls very clear when they elected you, and I'm glad that you kept your campaign promise. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Magistrate Saltzman.
Yes, thank you, Brian, for that. I'd also like to, she alluded earlier about the county fair coming up soon. We will have another opportunity to remind you guys before the fair starts. So I'm looking forward to the fair. I'm excited.
Me too. Thank you.
all I have. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, Magistrate Whitehead.
Yes, thank you. Again, I want to congratulate our county clerk, Brian Smith, for, gosh, it's unbelievable. I know it's been hard to get everything together, but he's done it. He's a man of his word, and truly appreciate all he does for Hardin County, and excited about the office opening up in Radcliffe. Brian, you guys, you and your staff, I just can't say enough good things about you. And I also want to mention, every time I come into the county government building, I look to the right if I come in the front door, and I see the lines, and I see the people, and hopefully with this new branch office opening up in Radcliffe, that's going to relieve some of the pressure off your folks. So I look forward to that opening. Again, I'll mention the Hardin County Fair, which is always a fun event, and July 8th through the 13th, and the Resources and Community Support Committee meeting is July 15th at 3:30. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Clem.
Yes, Judge. The next Finance Committee meeting will be Tuesday, July the 16th at 3:30 across the hall. And also remind the community that the next Town Hall Forum will be held here again at 5:30 on July the 30th. Thank you. Oh, and don't drink and drive, and don't text and drive.
All right, thank you. Magistrate Pennington.
No comments.
Thank you. Magistrate Thompson.
No comments.
Thank you. Magistrate Hicks.
No comment.
All right, and Magistrate Muse.
I'd like to remind everybody the Vine Grove's having their first Friday events now. The next one will be July the 5th. It's at the Optimus Park now instead of downtown. It starts like 5 to 9. And I'd like to give a shout out to one of our residents, Miss Lauren Hartledge. She's a professional golfer. She's from E-Town. She placed 5th in the PGA Ladies Championship this past weekend, and that's quite an accomplishment. And the next Public Works Committee meeting is July the 10th, 3:30. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. My one reminder is the next Fiscal Court meeting will be Tuesday, July 9th at 3:30. All right, I think that takes care of business today. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay. Second? Second? Okay. Any objections? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned.